We're sitting down with the creator of the Matter of Principles podcast, Dean of the School of Education at Edgewood College, Dr. Tim Slecker. Tim, why a podcast?
Interesting, right? It's why that format? To bring people to want to get a degree. And the issue is this: you can get a principal's license just about any college anywhere. Why would you go to Edgewood as opposed to somewhere else? The podcast allows a student, a potential teacher sitting out there thinking, I want to be a principal, to meet our faculty, to hear them talk about what it's like to teach, to feel connected to the way the faculty embrace this idea of not becoming a principal, becoming a leader, a school leader. And that's the difference that you'll never get on a website, that you're never going to get in a glossy. The podcast gives you a sense, in one way, a taste of what it's going to be like to become a transformational leader.
As the producer of the podcast and hearing these stories come out, even in the first episode when they talk about getting to the principal's office, what drove the people that are teaching the students of Edgewood what they need to know to become a principal, what drove them to become an administrator?
That whole idea of going to the principal's office, too, is so cool, right? Because we think that's a negative. Well, a matter of principles, going to the principal's office, is you actually get to meet the principals who are going to be teaching you the classes, the coursework that you need to get this, quote, principal's license. But mostly, though, going to the principal's office means you get to sit down with these folks and hear them talk about transformational ideas in the classrooms, how they connect to community, how they go out and work with families, how they then inspire the teachers they're working with to become future principals. In fact, that's what we're talking about here. If you're a teacher out there and you want to become a principal, what is that image you have in your head of a principal? It's somebody doing administrative work, pushing papers, getting sent to the principal's office. It's a negative thing, right?
Right.
We're switching that. We're flipping that upside down and going, you're going to the principal's office because that's where you really become a change agent. You hear this in the first episode, a ripple effect. They talk about the ripple effect, the idea that as a principal, I can affect so many more lives through kids, through teachers, through families. You know, we're switching everything up here. Well,
there's a culture.
Yeah.
There's a culture that is created that's unique to Edgewood simply because of the cast of characters. This podcast gives you a chance to meet these people, hear the stories behind them, hear the pains they went through in transitioning from the classroom to the principal's office. And then you're like, okay, if I'm looking to do this, I can actually hear and know the people that are going to instruct me have felt my pain.
When I thought about being a principal when I was a teacher way back when, all I had to do, I looked at my principal, and I said, what did you do? It was, well, you take a bunch of courses, you learn to become an administrator, you learn to balance a budget. Nothing made me want to not become a principal more than hearing that right then, right?
Yeah, right.
It's like, no, I never want to do that job. So now here, like you said, you meet these cast of characters, Mike Hernandez, Jennifer Apodaca, our leader of our program, Lalo Mancia, Dr. Lalo Mancia. You hear their passions about how they went from classroom teacher to educational leader and how that transformed their lives, and then how that really makes that impact. So they make that decision. And hearing them talk, it makes me go, geez, if I'd have heard that when I was a beginning teacher, I would have become a principal.
And therein is the difference.
There's a difference. And so how do we communicate? That's what I think the other thing, we go back to the first question, what does the podcast do? It lets people understand that if you're going to come to Edgewood, here's what you're going to get. You're not going to just become a licensed principal. You're going to become part of a community of change agents that are really pushing this idea of social justice, equity, culturally relevant pedagogy, understanding the socioeconomic conditions of kids, advocating for what's best, not pushing some idea of some simple politician's policy, but leading for social justice, leading for change. That's the Edgewood difference. That's a matter of principles.
There's a great book I was just reading. You can't teach a kid to ride a bike at a seminar.
Right.
You know, Edgewood is bringing that to life. These people have been in the classroom. They know the everyday aches and pains of a teacher, and they also know the fear of moving from the classroom to the principal's office, and then they know the reality of being in the principal's office.
And that's communicated to every student who gets to experience each one of these instructors. I love the way you just said that. Think about that, right? That's the journey. The journey of becoming an education leader started with becoming a teacher and then making that change. You get to hear them talk about why they did this, why Mike Hernandez, who's been a principal now for 17 years and still continues to talk about it as his passion.
Right. I would say it even goes before the classroom. It goes to when they felt the calling to get into education, to become a teacher.
Well, and that's the other thing. The beauty here, they talk about this is they never lose their identity as teacher. It actually grows in the fact that they see themselves as a bigger, more powerful teacher. And that's special because too many people think of going to, as you hear, I'm going to become a principal, so you're going to the dark side. You're going to be an administrator. No, there's no dark side here. You come to Edgewood, you do this principal licensing program, great. You're going to get your license. Wisconsin's going to recognize you. You can go out and get a job. But what we're really talking about is the type of leader you're going to become by going through and becoming a part of the same community of faculty that you're teaching with. They're going to be your colleagues when you're done. So the people that are teaching you will, in a matter of years, be your colleagues.
The podcast has value to people that are already principals. So now there's this sense of community. There's this sense of belonging to a certain group that is together to help each other. So going to Edgewood,
you become part of this community of professional leaders. They talk about this. In fact, they talk about within a matter of weeks within the first class, those students who are in their first class to become a principal start to feel connected to the faculty and become part of this community already. And that's the idea too. Educational leaders need a community of support, of people they can go to talk about going with transformational ideas. These are things you don't want to do alone. And we think about the principal sitting in the principal's office by themselves. Let's blow that up too. The principal's office is where leaders gather and support each other and give each other that encouragement and strength to make hard decisions. But decisions, ultimately, this is the other thing, that change the lives of kids and families for better.
Let's get to a matter of principles.